from Murmur in the Inventory. It starts from what you don't know. You love the white too, just because it's white, a thing to stand in front of fear. But what I sent doesn't talk about the call. We can't help exclaiming the thinness of our skin. I beat myself up. I fly around in circles. You're just fucking up the situations. Nothing so sad as someone else's shoes. But we still had miles to go before we slept, miles to go. See cracking bones make noise. See, you're doing it without me. What was it, that burning, that endless insufficiency? I remember seeing horses. As a person you can feel, and there's a certain humiliation attached to this. Call it what you will. Taking all that's left and making a parachute strapped to my chest. It's still no way to behave, but everything that rises must. Say it, ballast, so I will hold my own hand. Look at your hands in the shape of a tree branch, body steering the mind out of the way. The force compels the character, makes a zero of things, leaves behind fragments trumpeting into an empty drain. You see that split between atoms, say I'm bleeding on my own body, but I can't speak outside the things I mean. I mean this place has failed us. States have a history. You gather something, you leave something you've been hauling with you behind. It is hard to stumble across a fictitious version of yourself, confusing the movement with the dancing. Of course you love the monsters, how the sky turned white, how everybody froze. I suffer mornings most of all, relying on signals for comfort. You would feel negative towards a square of paper, but I like the sound of that word kite. We look up to discard the weight. Bodies dream of themselves. The accumulation is undeniable, disorder, the mess, the non-resolutions. Those remains in place of my image. You might start with meaning and end up with frequencies. The little piece that came out, but not so little. Maybe only because the dissonance feels more accurate, the shape we desire changes, along with the need to bury things alive. The past seeping in, forms as silent observers, that dirty, fallow feeling. It draws you in hopefully, it stays with you. Everything very, very angular and small. But you see the ebb and flow want to knock you out of your complacency, means to an end that refuses you. Thing, significance, thing. And so I imagine my image, lines and eventually shape, the lines we made up, the mere act of willing going to pieces. We watch all of this emerging. You suspect it yourself. If you had cared more, you would have remembered. At least the acceptance of forgetting. What is not being told, not said about us, about you in particular. Effigies in these circles. Circles are endpoints. I wish I knew how to separate the two. But then you just have to take a deep breath and be like, it's okay. In the inside, there is sleeping. Everything fitting together with gravity like a puzzle. The space between bodies, between people, it hangs from the ceiling. The distinction between soundlessness and sound. Things occur, things happen, things shift. They set me on fire too. So you have to understand the pieties, these words that sound strangely toothless. Messy reality has always pressed itself in images of the people who might become. I have long since lost my hands in the circuitry. I just say to all of them, just lead me. Wounds beneath the competence show your bones. The area is exposed. I'm sorry. I just want you close. But you are not close. You're just a little bit happier than I am. If you help me live through this, maybe you can stay. But you could only write about what's inside of you. The burning in your mouth. Why it's suddenly so hard to breathe. Why a quilt of paper? A nest alive with words. My mouth not spoken by me. Memory resolves to nothing but what's upon us, like the men we used to be. Baling wire and duct tape. A sort of fissure left standing there, the way the sun has coppered our faces, like specters, like pilot flames. Every now and then, we all just wait for a minute for things to draw near. I put my wrist in, a little ghost to lick your palm. These lines of thought and fracture. These, which I repeat back. I say them quietly back to you. If you repeat the names, they disappear. Between water and a line of type, a lump in my throat blows into the tubes located at your shoulders. The hole in your lip is bleeding. You don't know what to think, so I'll tell you. Both are true. There are no neutral storms. Memory or loss bores holes into you. Here's what happened. Here's what some people say what happened. I can't separate the two. No distinction between fiction and fact. No distinction. It's not your fault. You can't see the sutures. So I cross-reference the living with someone else's skin. Seen from the door, seen from the window, seen from the inside. My fingers cast a shadow down the center, supposing we could separate the two. Shards on your face account for all those references in someone else's words. The pieces spread thin from intention. Oh yes, you should definitely use both hands for that speech. To lineate comes and goes. I no longer remember the exact date, only the month and year. There was a rare electrical storm, and I just watched it sweep across the sky. A lick around the perimeter, and then you forget. Maybe the confessional can no longer be confronted head on. But there are rules, and then there are methods. Maybe I was a dancer all along. History hovers in a deep sleep so that you can't resume the movement and the spin. There's the thing, and then what the thing really means. Don't let what the thing means scare you away from the thing, okay? The disconnect that turns up, I think, is an important thing to feel from time to time. Memory spitting blood into an enamel basin. How generous you are within your specifications. I'm finding it harder and harder to stay in touch. To weep and laugh at the same time forms the time that isn't anything yet. And I have so many questions, like, are you okay? Or maybe I better not ask that. We communicate so much worse with all of these marbles at our disposal. They call it instinct, the space waiting to harden. But you are nothing to me. You're like air, firecracker, water. To speak to where the echo is, we take the shape of the thing that moves us. Lately, I've caught myself feeling, this is a fairy tale. Better get my shit together, better gather my shit. Let the ground know who's standing on him. You're in this condition of doubt. You have to throw the right way, or you have to let go. You shouldn't be trying to juggle your own fire all the time. Such collapsing bleeds under the skin. The body is akin to the conspiracy, but because it cannot be rational, this makes it clear it does not matter. Time stops, and you are reminded that human relationships can be both simple and unsolvable. The sickness inherent in representation. Here, have my arms. We go into these things totally blind, an empty page feeling helped by geography. We stop walking. We're taking that walk. This thing that's like touching, except you don't touch. 1 foot and 1 foot, and whatever else this place isn't. But then he was a tourist, and a tourist can't help but have a distorted opinion of the place. I realize myself doing these things, calling it memory. You probably don't even have to imagine. Chances are you've experienced some degree of reversal yourself. Spinning plates to square every process. The room in which a death. We rest on forms assumed. You're going to have to scream that it hurts.